40 acres of Montana. Your own creek, your own pine ridge, elk drifting through at first light, and the price tag is lower than what a family in California pays in a single year of property tax on a starter home. No state sales tax, no estate tax, and no inheritance tax. None. Property taxes under 1% of value in most rural counties. Owner financing where the down payment is smaller than a used car and the monthly note is less than a phone bill. And these aren't raw scrub. Most have water, power at the road, a maintained road, or a structure already on the dirt. 9 properties stopped me cold this week. One of them, number 1, comes with deeded acreage and a piece of public land behind it that the listing barely mentions, and once you see what it's worth, you won't believe the number. Stay with me. Here's what nobody explains. Montana has 56 counties and is the 4th largest state in America by land area, but only about 1 million people live in the whole thing. The 4th biggest state in the Union, fewer residents than one mid-sized city, scattered across 147,000 square miles. Enormous supply, almost no people. That's the engine under every deal in this video. And the spread between the priciest Montana land and the cheapest is one of the widest in the country. Look at the western third first. Flathead, Missoula, Gallatin, Ravalli, the postcard, Glacier to the north, Yellowstone to the south, ski towns, and a flood of remote work money after 2020. Near Bozeman or Whitefish, vacant parcels with mountain views or live water often top $20,000 an acre, and buildable ground gets bid up higher. The median list price per acre statewide sits around $21,000, dragged up almost single-handedly by this one corner. Now drive east. Central Montana, Cascade, Fergus, is rolling foothills and isolated ranges, bought by farmers and hunters. Prices drop hard. Keep going to the eastern plains, Dawson, Richland, the country around Miles City, dryland wheat and massive cattle outfits bought by the section. Pasture land out here often trades for just $600 to $800 an acre. Same state, same big sky, 1/30th the price. 3 reasons for the gap. First, the western third eats all the demand. Parks, resorts, the migration wave, and almost none of it reaches the east, so those prices sat still while the west tripled. Second, the carrying cost is nearly nothing and transfers are clean. No sales tax, no estate tax, no inheritance tax, an effective property tax rate under 1%, and no statewide zoning. Land cycles back onto the market cheap. Third, the honest one, most cheap parcels are remote, off-grid, sometimes off a road the county doesn't maintain. That remoteness scares off the average buyer and keeps the price low for the one who does the homework, counting down from 9. And watch what happens around number 6. That's where the pattern shifts. Number 9. 40 acres of raw land outside Roundup, Musselshell County. The blank canvas. No covenants, no HOA, no neighbor close enough to see your porch light. An hour north of Billings. Here's the insight. At this price, you're paying Eastern Plains, sold by the section rates for 40 buildable acres, within a 2-hour drive of the state's largest city, with a hospital and a real airport. Western Montana freedom at Eastern Montana prices. That arbitrage is the whole reason this channel exists. This is just the warm-up. Number 8. 20 secluded acres southeast of Miles City, scattered with ponderosa pine and juniper. Looks ordinary until you read one line. Power lines along the boundary and fiber in the area. That detail matters. The biggest hidden cost of off-grid land is bringing power to a parcel that has none, and extending a line from the nearest pole routinely runs $15,000 to $30,000 a mile, sometimes far more. Here, that's already solved at the property line. Dark sky remoteness without the 5-figure utility bill. Hold on to that idea of hidden costs. It's the key to this whole video. Number 7. 40-acre parcels north of Lavina, beneath the snowy mountains, with something most cheap Montana land never has: power and water hookups from the regional rural water system, plus a county-maintained road. On almost every parcel at this price, water is on you, and a Montana well can run $5,000 to $15,000 or more with no guarantee you hit it. A parcel that already answers the water question, on a road the county plows, with sweeping mountain views, kills the 2 biggest off-grid risks before you sign. Not the cheapest here, pound for pound, maybe the safest. And safety matters more than you think, which is exactly where we're headed. Now stop. Before we go further, You need to hear something about cheap Montana land that no listing photo shows and the seller won't volunteer. 5 checks. Get anyone wrong, and the price you paid won't matter. First, water rights. Out here, owning the surface doesn't give you the water on it. Montana runs on prior appropriation. First in time, first in right. So water rights are a separate asset that may or may not convey. Confirm in writing whether they do and whether you can legally drill or divert. A creek you can't legally touch is just scenery. Second, legal and physical access. Montana has a staggering number of landlocked parcels carved from old ranches with handshake access that was never recorded. No frontage on a public road? Demand the recorded easement before you sign. Then ask if the road is actually drivable. An easement across an ungraded 2-track is a legal right to get stuck. Third, the well and perk test. Ask the neighbors how deep they drilled. The truth about water is in the neighbors, not the brochure. Then confirm the soil perks for septic. No perk means no conventional septic, which can mean no house. Fourth, seasonal access. If the county doesn't maintain your road, a wet spring turns Montana gumbo into mud that stops a truck, and winter can cut you off for months. Ask directly whether access is maintained year-round. Buy in July, and you may not find out until January. Fifth, severed mineral rights. Like much of the West, Montana has split estates where coal, oil, or gas rights were sold off decades ago. Pull the deed history at the county clerk's office. If the minerals are severed, find out whether there's surface use protection, because the mineral owner may have the right to disturb your surface. 5 checks, a few $100s against decades of regret. Do them every time. Number 6, 22 acres on Stagecoach Spur at the base of the Beartooth Mountains. And here's where the pattern shifts. It has a developed spring and power already on site, sub-irrigated meadows where deer, antelope, and elk move through, and the seller offers owner financing. The spring is liquid gold, renewable water you didn't have to drill for. But the financing is the real weapon. No bank, no mortgage application, no perfect credit. Down payment, pay the seller directly over time, and your name goes on a deeded stake while you do it. That's the mechanism that turns "I could never afford Montana land" into "I'm a landowner this month." Number 5. Now the move-in ready half. A turnkey off-grid home in Mineral County, western Montana, bordering national forest on 3 sides. Full solar with battery storage, propane for heat and hot water, a drilled well, a finished cabin, ready to live in, Missoula about an hour away. Here's the math. Building off-grid from scratch stacks, solar, batteries, a well, septic, and the structure. Easily past $100,000 before you hang a door. A property where all of it already works hands you years of expense and permitting for free. Anyone who knows 2026 off-grid costs sees a discount, not a price. Number 4. 50-plus acres of completely unrestricted land within reach of Billings. Unrestricted is the magic word. No covenants, no conditions. Run livestock, build a shop, park an RV, raise a barn dominium, homestead, or all of it, and nobody tells you no. 50 acres is enough to truly homestead. Animals, a real garden, distance from the world, and that much rule-free ground this close to the state's largest city is rare. The closer cheap, unrestricted acreage sits to a real economy, the faster it disappears. And we're still climbing. Number 3. A parcel in the Flathead Corridor, northwest Montana. No codes, no covenants, adjoining Flathead National Forest, near Flathead Lake, and an easy run from Glacier. This one isn't just a place to live, it's a place that can pay you. The Glacier Flathead tourism economy is one of the busiest in the northern Rockies, and a well-placed short-term rental cabin here can book all summer at hundreds a night, spilling into fall and ski season. Against the purchase price, the land stops being a cost and becomes the down payment on a business, cash flow with a mountain view. Number 2. 74 acres outside Hot Springs in the lake and foothill country of western Montana. 74 acres, more ground than most people walk across in a lifetime, against rolling foothills, full of wildlife, within reach of the Flathead Lake recreation economy. Here's the positioning play. Waterfront on Flathead Lake runs into the high 6 figures with a tax bill to match. Pull back a few miles into the foothills, and you get the same access to the lakes, rivers, and trails at a fraction of the price without the waterfront tax burden. At 74 acres, you're not buying a lot. You're buying a piece of a mountain with a recreation hub minutes away. And now number 1. I told you there was one parcel with deeded acreage and a piece of public land behind it the listing barely mentions. This is it, a large block of deeded acreage in central Montana, Elkhorn Mountains country, with a scouted cabin site, a spring or year-round water, and a per-acre price that reads like a misprint. Why is it this cheap? Because it sits in a remote central county, hours from the western boom, in the part of Montana the migration money never reached. On paper, it's priced like every other far-from-town parcel nobody's heard of. That's the surface story. Here's the twist, the listing berries. The back line doesn't end at a neighbor. It ends at public land, national forest and BLM ground stretching for hundreds of thousands of acres that can never be developed or subdivided. Buy deeded acreage against that boundary and you're not buying just those acres. You're buying effectively unlimited access to the wild country behind them. The hunting, the hiking, the elk, the solitude, protected forever at the taxpayer's expense. Your line ends. The public land begins. No neighbor on the backside, ever. And one more layer. What made remote Montana cheap was disconnection. Too far from a town, a line, the world. That equation just broke. Satellite internet now delivers high-speed connection 3 hours from the nearest stoplight. So a remote off-grid block can support remote work, a business, and a full modern life. Stack that on a carrying cost of almost nothing, and a western migration now pricing people out and pushing them east toward exactly this kind of ground. The land is still priced for the old, disconnected, nobody-wants-it Montana. The reality is a connected, increasingly wanted Montana the rest of the country hasn't caught up to. Buy now and you're buying tomorrow's value at yesterday's price. Ultra-cheap Montana land isn't a marketing trick. It's geography, history, and a state with more land than buyers know how to research. 56 counties, a booming west pulling away from a forgotten east. No sales tax, no estate tax, no zoning, and a population so thin the supply will outlast us all. The window is wide open now, and narrowing every month that satellite internet and out-of-state buyers erase the one thing that kept this land cheap. Its distance. If you spent the last 20 minutes believing real Montana acreage was reserved for tech money and millionaires buying ranches near Bozeman, that idea is wrong, and you can let it go tonight. A small down payment, a monthly note smaller than your phone bill, your name on a recorded deed in a central or eastern Montana courthouse, on ground that still costs what land is supposed to cost. With your own mountains out the window and air nobody's selling back to you. If this was useful, hit subscribe. Next time, 9 more cheap acreage finds in Wyoming, including one high desert tract that borders public land on 2 sides and sells for less per acre than the closing costs on a city apartment.